People in Myanmar paid their final respects to the woman shot and killed by police early this month. She was the first protester confirmed to have died since the military coup on February 1st. Mya Tue Tue Kain was shot in the head during a massive rally on February 9th in the capital, Naypyidaw. She died on Friday at the age of 20. Her relatives and many others mourned at her funeral on Sunday. In the biggest city, Yangon, people laid flowers at a site of recent demonstrations. Hospital officials told NHK that the bullet went right through her helmet. Security forces are stepping up their efforts to remove protesters by force. They opened fire on Saturday, soon after ordering oil supply workers to go back to work. Rescue volunteers say 2 people were killed. Over 30 were reported injured. But that didn't keep people from taking to the streets on Sunday. They are demanding the release of Aung San Suu Kyi and other leaders. She faces 2 charges and could be in for prolonged detention.
We have been protesting peacefully, but people have still died. We won't accept such unjust oppression, and we will keep on fighting.
The demonstrators plan to hold a nationwide general strike on Monday. About 3,500 people filled Tokyo streets on Sunday in a show of solidarity for anti-coup protests in Myanmar. The rally was organized by a group of people from Myanmar who live in Japan. They marched near the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo, holding up photos of Aung San Suu Kyi, along with signs that read, "Myanmar needs your help." They called for global pressure to be increased on Myanmar's military.
I want the United States, Japan, or any country to help.
We don't want the international community to abandon our country. Please don't isolate us. We want everyone to watch over us. The dreams of the young people in our country are being destroyed, and it's unforgivable.
Japan's foreign ministry released a statement about the situation. It said that using armed force against peaceful protests can never be tolerated. It strongly urges the Myanmar security apparatus to immediately stop resorting to violence against civilians. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres posted a tweet that said the use of lethal force, intimidation, and harassment against peaceful demonstrators is unacceptable. He called on all parties to respect election results and return to civilian rule. Japan has just received its second shipment of vaccines developed by U.S. pharmaceutical company Pfizer. The vaccination program got underway in the country on Wednesday. The doses arrived from Belgium on Sunday at Narita Airport near Tokyo. The vaccine was packed in special cartons with dry ice. They were taken to a warehouse, then moved to a storage site outside the airport by truck. The first delivery arrived on February 12th. Officials say the latest arrival is equivalent to more than 450,000 shots if the full 6 doses are extracted from each vial. Japan has received about 838,000 doses so far, enough for nearly 420,000 people. The government plans to distribute up to nearly 1.2 million doses to prefectures over the first 2 weeks of March for medical workers. It plans to bring in more doses once the EU grants authorization. The number of healthcare workers expected to be vaccinated is likely to rise by about 1 million from the initial estimate. The original figure was about 3.7 million. However, the vaccination timeline depends on a steady supply. Elderly people and others could be kept waiting if things don't go smoothly. The coronavirus pandemic has forced many people to cancel or postpone their wedding ceremonies. A wedding industry organization says about 240,000 couples in Japan had to change their plans last year. This couple had planned to get married at a chapel in Tokyo last July, but the ceremony was postponed until March this year after the first coronavirus state of emergency was declared last April. The wedding was further delayed by the second state of emergency that is currently in place in the capital. The couple didn't think it was a good idea to invite their friends while everyone is worried about the pandemic. They plan to hold the ceremony when everyone can feel safe.
Our wedding will be even more memorable because it was postponed twice. We want to make it a ceremony to remember and live up to the expectations of everyone who has had to wait such a long time.
Efforts are also being made to find ways to hold ceremonies while keeping strict infection control measures in place. This couple postponed their wedding planned for last October, but they decided to have a ceremony before the groom is transferred overseas for work this spring. The ceremony was held in 2 sessions in Fukuoka and Nagoya to avoid crowding. In the session in Fukuoka, the attendees were limited to relatives. The groom's grandmother attended the party online. He read a letter to convey his feelings.
It would have been better to see my grandmother in person, but I'm glad I was able to convey my feelings to her.
Israel's health ministry says coronavirus vaccines were 98.9% effective in preventing death from COVID-19 2 weeks after the second shot. The country has achieved one of the fastest COVID-19 inoculation rates in the world. The ministry on Saturday released its analyses of data through February 13th of people who received 2 shots of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. It says those vaccinated were 96.9% less likely to develop fever and respiratory problems 1 week after the second shot, increasing to 98% after 2 weeks. Israel's health ministry says the vaccinations were 94.5% effective in preventing death 1 week after the second shot and 98.9% effective after 2 weeks. 4.21 million people, or more than 40% of Israel's population, have already received the first shot. Those who received both shots now total more than 2.6 million. The Israeli government is calling on people aged 16 and over to get vaccinated. Authorities have eased restrictions on outings from Sunday. Russian health authorities say they have confirmed the world's first case of the H5N8 strain of the avian flu virus being passed from birds to humans. The head of the country's health watchdog, Anna Popova, said Russia had reported the matter to the World Health Organization. Popova said the highly pathogenic H5N8 strain had been detected in 7 workers at a poultry farm in southern Russia following an outbreak in December. The workers have since recovered.
The funeral has taken place in Myanmar of a young woman who's become a national symbol of resistance to military rule. Mia Twetwekine died on Friday after being shot during a protest against the coup. Israel's lockdown is being eased after almost half the population received at least 1 dose of coronavirus vaccines. Gyms, hotels and tourist attractions are reopening, but entry will only be allowed to those with a green pass. Serbia's Novak Djokovic has won his 9th Australian Open title. He comfortably beat Russia's Daniil Medvedev in straight sets. It's Djokovic's 18th Grand Slam victory, bringing him within 2 wins of records held by Nadal and Federer.